17 cars registered here for our International GT Feature Race number 1. We'll take a look at the grid. Pole position, Rob Blake, Juan Lopez-Santini, the number 74. Outside row number 1, the 46 of Mark Bowden. In row 2, Tom Pank on the inside, Stephen Hill on the outside. In row number 3, Juan Gonzalez, Butch Leitzinger in the 81, and Barry Fromberg in the 43 on the outside of row 3. Row 4, Tim Kesman and Guy Cosmo. In row number 9, Ted Giovannis and Colin Cohen, Josh Hurley in the 15 car. Lucas Pank in the 11, Edward Baus in the 52. That would be row number 6. Row 7, Robert Wieser and Sebastian Coppola, 288. Row number 8, Michael Clark and Ben Johnston on the outside with Kurt Lieberton. Rounding out this field of 17, we have a handful of Ferraris, an AMG GT4, and Porsches making up our International GT. Again, 17 cars, feature race number 1. They will go for 20 minutes. 20 minutes time for the International GT. Field of 17 making their way around corner turn 14. We'll be up the hill and ready to go here. First featured race of the day. Again, 9 feature races, 8 coming up after the lunch break. Our lone feature race before the noon hour right now, International GT. Field led by Rob Blake and Mark Bowden. Making their way towards start finish. Green flag is out, and we are off and rolling. Great jump by Mark Bowden in the Porsche 997. Great jump for him, and he will lead this pack down the hill into turn number 1. The 33 of Stephen Hill got a good run as well. Coming in on that outside position in row number 2. Bowden, Hill, and Rob Blake, 1, 2, 3, as this field making their way through turn number 3. Close times in the qualifying here for the International GT. Rob Blake won, Lopez-Santini a 2:14.193. That was the quickest qualifying time, about 3.5 tenths of a second, 3/10 of a second quicker than Mark Bowden, 2:14.431. Tom Pank, Stephen Hill in that 2:16 range, 2:17 range for Juan Gonzalez, Barry Fromberg. So it should be a pretty tight field here as all 17 making their way here through Canada corner. Lead two cars around the turn 14 up under the bridge, and here we go. It's Stephen Hill in that Ferrari 458 Challenger. Top speed of 2:19.491. Mark Bowden, Rob Blake 1, 2, 3. So Stephen Hill, fourth quickest qualifier, quickest around the course with the field in place. Hill, Bowden, Blake, Tim Kesman running fourth, Tom Pank running in fifth position, Barry Fromberg, Colin Cohen, Ted Giovannis, Juan Gonzalez, and Lucas Pank rounding out the top 10. Edward Baus, Robert Wieser, Ben Johnston, Sebastian Coppola, Kurt Leverton, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And as we see Michael Clark crossing start-finish. 16 of the 17 here taking the start-finish after the first lap. And there's Guy Cosmo. Stephen Hill, Mark Bowden battling in through the carousel, and it looks like we do have a new leader, Mark Bowden, able to get around Stephen Hill. As the field coming up on turn 11, led by Mark Bowden. Four cars separating themselves from the rest of the pack, making their way up the hill to start-finish. And as we mentioned, 46 Porsche, Mark Bowden able to get back in front of Stephen Hill and take the lead. Rob Blake, Tim Kesman still up in that front group. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Tom Pank leading the next group, rounding out the top five. Down the hill into turn 3, Bowden looking at about a 3-car length lead in front of Hill. Even out, Blake about 3 car lengths in front of Kesman, but 3 behind Hill, sitting in that third position. Cars up the hill after 5 into turn 6 under the Corvette bridge, and it's still Bowden leading Stephen Hill, now about a 4-car length lead. Looks like Tim Kesman was able to get around Rob Blake. Take one of those podium spots, currently running in third. So Bowden, Hill, Kesman, Blake, and Pank, 1 through 5. Barry Fromberg, Colin Cohen, Ted Giovannis, Juan Gonzalez, and Lucas Pank, 6 through 10. Rounding out the rest of the field, Edward Baus, Robert Wieser, Ben Johnston, Kurt Leverton, Sebastian Coppola, Michael Clark, and Guy Cosmo. Again, our International GT will be timed out 20-minute race. 20 minutes. Then the white flag. As your leader, Mark Bowden, really opening up some time. 2:15.050 on that last lap. Half-second lead over Stephen Hill. Watch out, though, for the 74 with Rob Blake and Juan Lopez-Santini. Not sure who's in the car at the moment, but right up on Hill's tail, trying to get back into that top two position, but Mark Bowden still your leader. Stephen Hill, Rob Blake, Juan Lopez-Santini. Tim Kesman and Tom Pink, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No change up front. As that lead pack of four make their way up the hill under the Corvette Bridge, Rob Blake, that's 74. Porsche able to get in front of the Ferrari of Stephen Hill. So Bowden, Blake, and Hill, your new 1, 2, 3 running order. Bowden's lead opening up about 10 car lengths now. As that lead pack makes their way through the carousel and under the Speedville Bridge. So that lead group of four is now broken out in twos. Mark Bowden holding off Rob Blake and Juan Lopez-Santini running in second position. It's 74 with Blake and Lopez-Santini. A 2:14.297. That is the quickest lap here in the feature race of the International GT. Bowden, though, still holding on to the top position. Stephen Hill and Tim Kesman. Those two are running close for third, separated by less than a half second. Again, 20-minute time before the white flag. We're about halfway there. Mark Bowden. The 46-74 of Rob Blake, couple Porsches. Leading this group with the Ferrari of Stephen Hill and the Porsche of Tim Kesman battling for that third position. Lead group was four early on, is broken out in twos as they make their way through Canada. Bowden and Blake battling for that top position, and Hill and Kesman battling for the final spot on the podium. Leaders making their way through 14. It is still Bowden But right on the tail is Blake, about a car length between the two. Blake going for the pass on the inside. Looks like he may have it down the hill. It's Stephen Hill holding off Tim Kesman there for that third position. Those two side by side. And we do have a new leader, 74 of Blake and Lopez-Santini, able to squeak in front of Mark Bowden to take that top position here in our International GT feature race. Rounded out our morning session Saturday here at the Spring Vintage Festival with SVRA at Road America. So Blake, Lopez-Santini opening up a little bit of a lead now on Bowden. About five car lengths, we'll call it. A little bit more than that through 6 and 7. Stephen Hill, Tim Kesman. Kesman has been on the tail of Hill for the last couple of laps, just has not had that opportunity to find the pass. Through turn 8. Bumper to bumper under the Speedville Bridge for that third position. Hill able to keep that third spot in front of Kesman, but we're looking at Rob Blake, your leader, really starting to open up some room between Mark Bowden 1 and 2. So look at your top cars. It is good 1.73 seconds between 1 and 2. Rob Blake, Mark Bowden. Tim Kesman, though, finds the pass and gets in front of Stephen Hill, 0.7 seconds ahead of Hill. So Kesman now sitting on the podium in third position. Blake, Bowden, Kesman, Hill, and Pank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Barry Fromberg in sixth position, 21.5 seconds off the lead. Juan Gonzalez running seventh. Ted Giovannis in the eighth position. Colin Cohen in ninth with Lucas Pank rounding out your top 10. So with the separation between 1 and 2, keeping the eyes on that battle for third between Kesman and Hill. Kesman finding the pass on the last lap after being on the bumper of Hill for a majority of the race thus far, and now they just switch roles. Hill's right there on Kesman's back bumper trying to find the pass as they make their way under the Speedville Bridge. Looking at the race time, we will have 5 minutes, a little under that before we see the white flag. And we'll keep an eye on lap traffic as well. Could factor into things before this one is through. As the 96, last car on the lead lap, Michael Clark, just went cross start finish, and it'll be about 5-6 seconds separating the lead pack from lap traffic. Rob Blake, Mark Bowden, Tim Kesman, 1, 2, 3. As Kesman moves a full second in front of Stephen Hill for that final spot on the podium. Tom Pank still running comfortably in fifth position, about 15.5 seconds off the lead. Good battle up front early on with Blake and Bowden. Those two have separated. Blake running 1, Bowden 2, but Tim Kesman, Stephen Hill 3 and 4 continue to be the story. Is Stephen Hill holding on to third position first half of this race. Kesman, though, finding his way in front, and Kesman about a car length ahead of Hill as we head through turn 8. Top qualifying time was Rob Blake, won Lopez-Santini at a 2:14.193. Those two have eclipsed it here in the feature, a 2:13.759, their fastest lap, lap number 6. And the white flag will greet this 74. 1 lap to go, and that lead will be just over a second. Mark Bowden second behind. We'll see if he can make a run here in the final lap. Tim Kesman, Stephen Hill, 3 and 4. Those two for that third position separated by less than a second. Final lap continuing on. Blake and Lopez-Santini, your leaders here in our International GT feature race in number 1. About 3 car lengths ahead of Mark Bowden. They're making their way through turn number 8. Race for third, Tim Kesman, Stephen Hill. Still sitting in that order. Kesman about 0.8 of a second quicker than Hill last lap around. Hill will try to find some room here in the last half of this final lap before the checkered flag will greet him. Leaders finding themselves through Canada corner and be greeted by the checkered flag momentarily here. Our first of 9 feature races. And Rob Blake won Lopez-Santini. That team in the 74, a comfortable lead up the hill. And our first feature race of the day goes to the 74. The Porsche with Rob Blake and Juan Lopez-Santini. Mark Bowden 2.2 seconds behind in second. Tim Kesman a second quicker than Stephen Hill to find that final spot on the podium. So Blake, Bowden, and Kesman, 1, 2, 3, our International GT feature race number 1. That brings us to our lunch break. And we'll have some track touring, other activities going on throughout the grounds. 1 p.m. will be our next featured race. That will be groups 6 and 12. Group 6 and 12, followed by groups 5B, 7, and 11, a 1:30 scheduled time. Group 9 race will be scheduled for 2 p.m., 2:30. It's group 10. And we do have yellow on sounded like 13 there. May be a yellow for some debris. Local yellow for some debris on 13 as the rest of the field making their way towards start-finish. Blake, Bowden, Kesman, Hill, and Pank, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fromberg, Gonzalez, Giovannis, Cohen, and Baus rounds out the top 10. Lucas Pank Running 11th, Robert Wieser, running 12th.